If you want to support the channel, you can use code Tablemon to get 5% off at Potent Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 20% off for your superfoods at Amaranthi. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. This video is sponsored by the Pokemon TCG deck building website PokemonCard.io. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here at Tablemon. Now this weekend we had a lot of tournaments happening. We had Knoxville Regionals, Bochum Regionals, we also had a big event in South Korea, and we also had Champions League Aichi, which for me is the most interesting tournament of them all, because this is the 3,000 player tournament that is being played in Japan, or that was played in Japan, with the upcoming standard format rotation E and onwards. So this right here is the final match. If any of you want to go and take a look at the previous matches or anything, I'll leave the link in the description down below of the whole tournament and the YouTube channel in case you want to follow that as well. The matchup is going to be very interesting. It's a Lost Box versus Gardevoir EX deck. I know who the winner is. I don't know what happened throughout the game. Yeah, and I'm not going to spoil. So if you haven't watched yet, I'm going to do my best to not spoil any of the results. But I figured, why not take a look at the action, try to analyze their moves. I'm sure there will be cards that I'm not exactly sure what they do. So please bear with me as I try to look that up as the action unfolds. But let's take a look at how this will go down. Now, I'm hoping the volume is good here. Yeah. Something I want to note, very cool, is the camera angles. Yeah, they have very dynamic camera angles. This one specifically. This is so cool. Yeah, it's like this is what this player is looking at. And I imagine they do it with like a top-down camera. Maybe the sound is a little too distracting. I don't know. I mean, I can hear the commentators. Hopefully, I'll check afterwards. But yeah, the Gardevoir EX deck starts off by looking at a Mew, and if you saw them rearrange 3 of the bottom cards to the top of their deck, something that they do in Japan is there's a plastic barrier in between them because of COVID measures, and what they are doing is the players shuffle their deck, and then they ask the opponent how many cards they want to cut, and then they put that amount of cards either from the bottom to the top or top to the bottom. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but you'll see them do that. So they're not stacking their deck, that's just something that they do. Now they just use Mew's ability, of course, and I bench 2 Ralts and go ahead and pass. I didn't take note of what they kept. And now it's up to the Lost Box player's turn. We do see Drapion V at the start, and we see the Battle VIP pass to start us off. Now, notice how they were looking at the deck off camera. Okay, I don't know why that stopped. So we do see Snorlax, I did see Rain and Greninja. I'm pretty sure this features a Magenta, maybe Raikou V, maybe Sky Seal Stone. Like, I'm not exactly sure the full version. Neither list has been published yet, unfortunately, for either deck. As far as I could tell, I tried looking through the usual resources on Twitter, the usual websites as well, and no information there yet on the full list. And I mean, by looking at the VOD, we can probably figure out most of the list, and we'll make note of something impactful. But for now, this is for now they haven't been published yet. All right, so they do go for Greninja and Comfey. Let's see what else happens here. Now, another important thing to note, we see the Colress, is that these players play best of 1. Yeah, and I didn't note how much time they had, but I think it might have been 33 minutes. Something that I don't know why irks me is look at the white corners of the cards. Like, I don't know why they would not use PNG files that like are transparent, and therefore the edges are nice and round. But that's my inner designer being like, what is going on? But anyways, we do see the Colress. I believe they lost zoned to one water and one Mirage Gate, right? And below the person, like right up here, you can see the lost zone counter. They're at 2, so that's how we'll be able to keep track of that. Energy Cycler hits the lost zone. This player is a pretty good hand, and there's no more Marnie in this format, right? Also no more Oranguru. We do see a Nestball, we do see Raihan. So unless the other player is playing Judge, then having 2 Colresses in hand is really, really nice. They are 1 card away from being able to attack with the Cramorant. We do see the Nestball, potentially looking for that. We also see Sableye, of course. Why wouldn't you have that in a Lost Zone deck? And there's the Cramorant hitting the field. Very nice. Alright, see there, the player, I believe, caught 4 cards. Yeah, that's why they very clearly show the 4 cards right there. And then we see the Comfey retreating, and we're going to see another Flower Select with another switching card. That's Clara to the Lost Zone. And there we have it. Yeah, Escape Rope. So now the Lost Box player has 4 Cramorants. I mean, 4 cards in the Lost Zone, will promote Cramorant and will take a knockout on the Ralts. I imagine the other player really wanted to promote the Mew or conserve the Mew, because they're relying on it to find them something to set up. Now we do see Judge, we do see Cresselia, we also see Rare Candy, and there's... oh, yeah, they're looking at the 6 with Mew. Yeah, and we do see Level Ball being played. And we're gonna see Kirlia. Is that the right Kirlia though? Is it really not the one that draws 2? Yeah, I believe the Kirlia they're showing is not the right one. That's for sure. And by the way, I'm not covering anything important. That's why I placed myself over in this bottom corner. Yeah, there they go. Then now they're showing the right Kirlia. This one has the ability to trade, essentially discard a card from your hand, draw 2 cards. But another cool thing, or that's different from the Western streams, is like, look at the price cards, yeah? In this side of the world, the stream has all the Pokeballs like highlighted, and then once a player takes a prize, they like turn them off. Yeah, but in Japan it's the opposite. All prizes are turned off, and for every KO they turn the Pokeball on. That's something that at some point had me very confused in some games. Looks like the Gardevoir EX player does not having a good time. Goes for the boss on his Drapion to try and stall a little bit, but I imagine with a ton of switching cards off of this Colress, it shouldn't be difficult to get another switching card and get the Drapion out of the active spot. This also puts them at 6 cards in the Lost Zone, so possible Mirage Gate activation. No more Amazing Rare Raikou, so no chance of them winning this game. Unless there's a new bench hitter. Oh, actually, never mind. They could win the game this turn with Greninja. They could actually power up Greninja, hit 90-90, and win the game that way. That would actually be a very underwhelming finish to the tournament. But that is an option that the Lost Box player does have right here. And that's how you get to 7. So now they could potentially Mirage Gate in order to retreat the Drapion. Yeah, I believe they should be at 7 now, because they were at 4, then Colress 2 more, and then the Lost Vacuum just put the 7th in the Lost Zone, so the counter right here is a little off. You can see Greninja drawing 2 more. Very good sequencing. There's the Mirage Gate. Ooh, but just attaches and passes. So, what did I miss? Maybe they played the Lost Vacuum and then they regretted it? I'm not sure. Alright, so seems like they top decked the Greninja, or they drew into it somehow. They're having a discussion with the judges. All right, yeah. Now they amplify the view. I love how neatly arranged their damage counters are too. And now look at that. Yeah, look at the where the prices are over here. And look at where the prices are over there. Yeah, so like they have a standard setup over and when you get streamed in this side of the world, the prices are in the same side. So one player gets awkward prices, awkward price placement rather, which is like it can be annoying, you know. And there was a penalty given over in at OCIC because of a player got confused. But anyways, now we see the Gardevoir EX hitting play. They're checking or they're grabbing something. Right here might have been of a nest ball. That is Seishin V in order to accelerate energy onto the field. That's the Psychic Seishin V that allows you to attach search your deck for a Psychic attached to 100 Pokemon and then your turn ends. Gardevoir EX also in play with the ability that allows you to attach as many Psychics as you want from your discard ball to your Pokemon, and I believe placing either 1 or 2 damage counters to the Pokemon. I'm actually not sure. About that. But yeah, pretty slow start for the Gardevoir EX deck, unfortunately. But it is a stage 2 deck that made it to the finals, so pretty interesting. And then we see the Judge Disruption. I do believe Judge will be necessary to disrupt Lost Box decks, otherwise they're just going to accumulate so many cards in their hand. As we can see, the Judge. This is the Sword and Shield art. There is a brand new art for Scarlet and Violet, which I'm sure we will see a ton of play. It looks very cool, but it like sometimes when I was looking at post-rotation lists, it just ended up being very confusing, and I couldn't recognize the card sometimes. All right, so we see Palpat's Arena Psychic, and then one more card. And now we get to see Mew's ability come into play. And they very, very frustratingly sigh. I'm not sure what they were looking for. Maybe as a way to switch? I mean, honestly, I don't know. Seems like they played the thing, I forgot, that psychic, the card that gets you psychic, basic, Pokemon, or energy. But I'm not sure if they're doing that or if they're doing the Seishin ability. Alright, they are playing that. Fog Crystal, yeah? They play the Fog Crystal, search for the routes. 2 cards from the top to the bottom, as per the other player request. Then we see the retreat. Then we see the Seishin, and ooh, it seems like they're gonna go for the attack. Do they have enough psychics in the discard pile in order to take these 2 prizes? I'm generally... I must have missed something. I could have sworn the other player was at 7. Or maybe they just showed the Lost Vacuum, but there was nothing to Lost Vacuum away. And that's why they couldn't do it. They couldn't do that thing. And that's why they... Maybe they just showed because they were like, oh yeah, if there was a Stadium or a Tool, I would have won, right? With the Greninja. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure. See, 2 cards from the bottom to the top. I wonder if we're gonna do that in Japan. That would be really interesting if that's how we all did it in Japan. Okay, it is 2 damage counters per Psychic Energy attached by Gardevoir EX. And that is enough. Oh no, it's not enough. It's not enough damage. Maybe that's what frustrated the player, that they didn't get a way to get that last energy. It seems like it's only 150 damage though, so they would have needed a lot more to, like 2 more energies in order to knock out the Drapion. And we see a switch card also healing that Drapion, which is pretty interesting. Switch cards will definitely be a staple moving forward. And we're gonna see flower selecting. Now we'll get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone for the Lost Box player. And there was no KO in the previous turn, so no chance of using Zamazenta, for example, because there was no KO taken, so they would only do 100 damage. So I really wish I could see their choices to be able to tell you a little bit more about what they're possibly thinking. But yeah, I mean, Radiant Greninja can still take 2 KOs this turn. I would not be surprised if that was a plan. They could go after the Mew and the Ralts on the bench. And there's a Colress, and the other player is really not having a great time. The player on the left is really not having a good time right here. This player could even get to 10 cards possibly this turn and maybe get a Sableye attack off. We're gonna see a Zamazenta Ink sent to the Lost Zone, maybe? Yeah, Zamazenta to the Lost Zone. And there's the new stadium that gives 1 retreat, or 1 less retreat. And they're at 9 cards now, so there's the second Comfey. Yeah, and they're just making sure that the Comfeys are tilted so that it's clear. There's many ways to do that to show. I think tilting is the best way. I know a lot of players love using the ability use thing, but I also think that that's honestly a time waste. But yeah, there we see the Sableye coming down. There's 10 cards in the Lost Zone. We even can still draw 2 more cards with the Greninja. And with the Beach Court, I believe is the name of the stadium, this player will be able to retreat their Comfey and take a KO that way. Or take 2 KOs, rather. We are going to see the first Mirage Gate. Honestly, I believe Gardevoir EX is weak to Dark, so Drapion could actually knock out that in a pinch. We see 1 medal to the Comfey, and that's it. You know? So now the Mirage Gate is a way to retreat. Yeah, that was its function this turn, and that's perfectly fine, right? Mirage Gate, whatever it needs to do in order for you to win, that's good enough. Yeah, that is absolutely good enough. Alright, so there's a Sableye, and I imagine Ralts, I believe, actually has 70 HP, in fact. So Mew does go down. So that's 1 prize card. I thought the Ralts could have gone down. There is a new Hawlucha that acts as the Zigzagoon now, where when you bench it, you place 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. But they're actually just gonna full target the Ralts, which makes sense. Yeah, I have 5 damage counters left. Honestly, if it were me, I would put all 5 on the station, because then that puts it in range of Cramorant. Yeah, but instead, they opt to place... I couldn't tell. There's a Sky Seal Stone, but they put 1 on Mew and 4 on Greninja. Which, I mean, that does leave both of those Pokemon in range of getting KO'd by the next Sableye plus Psychic, right? So, I mean, no matter how they placed them, they could have done that. I guess they're not super worried about the Station V. And we're going to see Serena onto the Drapion. So, gonna even up the price cards right here for the Gardevoir EX player, but the Sableye remaining alive does mean that there will be a very dead Greninja. Oh, no, wait. 90. Oh, never mind. No, they can't take 2 prizes next turn. They actually cannot. For some reason, I thought Greninja had 110 HP, but it has 130, in fact. Alright, so we're gonna see the conflict promotion. More draw. And I mean, in general terms, at least from this match, I am not seeing like too big of a difference from current standard in how at least Lost Box is being played at the moment. Of course, the lack of scuba nets is very noticeable, but the Lost Box player has gotten to they only missed the 7 in the Lost Zone on turn 2. That's the big number they missed. But then they got to Sableye on turn 3, so I believe that's perfectly fine. We're gonna see the reprinted nest ball right here onto the next Sableye. Pretty good. I can imagine they're gonna go after the Greninja. Oh, okay. So they put 40 on the Greninja, putting it in range of their own Greninja. And then that 10 damage on the Mew. I mean, it's good in case another Ralts gets benched at some point. That way they can take 2 prizes, but I mean, they can just take 2 prizes right here with the Greninja knocking out their opponent's Greninja and the Mew as well, which is pretty good. Alright, we see Energy Recycler putting back 4 different energies, I believe. Yeah, Water, Dark, Metal, and Lightning. So the Dark Energy is interesting because Drapion does not in fact need Dark Energy. So I wonder whether they're playing a copy of Drapion V-Star maybe? Or if there's something else Dark type that I'm missing that they could be playing, right? But we're going to see the double attachment to the Greninja off of the Mirage Gate being played right there at the top. And attach for turn on the Sableye. So 4 attackers ready to go if you include Cramorant, at least for this turn. And of course, Greninja's damage output is slightly higher than Sableye's this turn. Or always rather, by doing 180, I mean 90, sorry. So 180 total. And so I imagine they're gonna go after at least Greninja and maybe Gardevoir. But if they just knock out Greninja and the Mew, then they only need to take 2 more prize cards, which could be the Station or could be the Gardevoir EX. And I forgot the Station V had an emergency jelly, so it made sense maybe not to put the damage on there. But emergency jelly only activates when they have 30 HP left. But yeah, there we go. Beach Court giving free retreat to the Comfey, and then 90 damage, knocking out both Greninja and Mew. So very little support for the Gardevoir EX deck available now. I believe that's been 2 Ralts getting knocked out, 1 Mew, and 1 Greninja. Not sure what they have in their hand, but like you can see the body language. Yeah, make note of the body language. This player is super highly concentrated. The other player is like fidgeting. He's very emotional. He's very like the other player plays a Colress and he goes like this. Yeah, so you can tell that like mentally this player is a lot more concentrated and a lot more focused, at least. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening here. We see a Fog Crystal just grabbing a Psychic. This player's best possibility. Sorry, the Gardevoir EX players right now needs to avoid KOs at all costs, basically. But since they're only taking 1 prize card at a time, they're gonna win in 4 turns, right? So the other player, the Lost Box player, has at least 3 turns to get 1 more knockout on any of these Pokemon, on either of these Pokemon, which doesn't seem like a big stretch. I'm wondering about that Dark Energy, though. I'm really wondering about that Dark Energy. What's that for? Another thing I like about Japan is that they use purple for poison rather than green. And based on like the video game, I think it makes sense. I do think it makes sense for them to have, for poison to be purple and not green, right? Because the poison type in the video games are purple, like the typing. There are obviously different colored Pokemon, but anyways, that's besides the point. Not doing much here. This other player, yeah, I think they just told him like, hey, you need to do something, right? That's some sort of Pokemon recovery card that I actually don't know what that is. Yeah, it's this one. But I'm actually not sure what that does. I mean, they shuffled back 4 Pokemon into their deck, so we know that much at least. Clearly different than Clara. I am honestly not sure. Honestly, not very sure at. I mean, we know it puts back Pokemon from the discard pile back into the deck. Oh, and then I think you draw 3 cards. Yeah, that's it. You recover Pokemon, I presume either 4 or 5, and then you Ooh, so retreating, it only costs 1 energy to retreat. And yeah, powering up. I thought for a second they passed. They do have enough energy to power up. I believe Gardevoir EX's does attack does 90 damage. I mean 190 damage or 180. I don't remember exactly. So burning the level ball, not grabbing anything. I honestly think you could grab 1 Pokemon here, just based purely on the fact that they need 2 prizes, right? So it could be like a sort of distraction. And then we do see the KO right here with Gardevoir EX's attack. And they asked them to please rearrange their field because it's not looking very nice. And Gardevoir EX does have 40 damage on itself because of its own ability, which allows you once again to attach as many psychic energies as you want to any Pokemon in play as many times as you want during your turn. So something being asked or explained, not too sure. Like I said, the Lost Box player is like in a fantastic spot. Like I keep mentioning, the other player is like very defeated already. I guess they were asking about the emergency jelly and how much HP or something, but it is 30 HP left, so they could even place 12 damage counters on there, or however many didn't activate, and then just KO, right? So I'm pretty sure the game is basically over. The Lost Box player just needs to place 12 damage counters on the Seishan plus the 6 it only has. That's 180. That means 40 HP left, and then they just need to use Sableye again. And look, yeah, another like close-up shot at the field. Interesting to see. And yeah, we see the Flower selecting, something getting sent to the Lost Zone, not sure what. No more vertical camera or horizontal, yeah, vertical camera angles, right? Only done for the first turn, which I'm surprised. Maybe the camera, like if there's a camera that drops down and does it, maybe it's a little too intrusive. But we do see right hand. We see the free retreat. We see the next flower selecting. Another beach court, I believe, just got sent to the Lost Zone. And the Lost Box player eyeing the Drapion, but I believe there's a Clara already in the Lost Zone, so I'm not sure if they run 2, right? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Seems like Raihan is gonna be the card of choice. I mean, the attackers of the Lost Box player are not very good anymore, and like against that 300 HP Pokemon, that's 3 turns to KO, right? Which is still enough turns for this player to win. However, all they need to do is go after the Seishan. I'm not sure what they're gonna do though. I don't know. Like maybe it's just me. There's a Snorlax even as well. So Escape Rope plus powering up Snorlax would just be game over as well. Now we did see Echoing Horn and Raikou in the list as well. So truly a box deck right here. And they go for the Echoing Horn. Oh, okay, so that's why the other player didn't bench Heralds, because, well, but with Echoing Horn, do they have a Pokemon in the discard pile? Didn't they shuffle them back in? Maybe there's more basic Pokemon left over. I'm not sure. I am actually not sure. I don't know why it's taking so long. I really don't. And I don't know why they would go, like, do those extra flower select things. It's just 12 damage counters on station. I mean, maybe this player knows something. Yeah, maybe this other player is playing some sort of healing cards. I'm not exactly sure. I am not exactly sure what is happening here. Yeah, once again, asking the Lost Box player to tilt the calm face. What is happening? Why is it taking so long? I really don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. Alright, there's the switch card finally. We're gonna see Sableye plays damage counters on the station, right? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me and maybe I play, like, I don't know. Maybe they're just really double checking, but like they're really trying to figure out the damage counters. Yeah, just so 10 on the station. Oh, okay. So there is a universe where the station player could attach psychic energies to the station V in order to activate the emergency jelly so that the damage gets healed. Okay, that is understandable then. Okay. Now I get why. I mean, I feel like you could do the maths a little bit faster, but I'm just surprised. Okay, so if there's only one psychic energy in the discard pile, and they put 2 damage counters more, then they're at 180 and they can't. Yeah. So the Gardevoir EX player needs either. Well, I mean, they could retreat, attach energies, activate the emergency jelly, and then potentially get another turn, right? But then, like, after this turn, they're at 2 prizes, and then the Lost Box player attacks again, and so they need another emergency jelly. And this player just threw their hand into... Okay, so we're gonna see a retreat, which I believe, yeah, the beach court only affects basic Pokemon, so it still costs 2. It only reduces the retreat for basic Pokemon, and then they're gonna attach 2. That does 40 damage. So they're at 200, and then they will attack, and then the emergency jelly will heal them. But they're 1 turn behind. Otherwise, this would have been enough. Yeah? Otherwise, this would have been enough. One way this player could have avoided this is just putting in just enough damage counters to where... yeah, I don't know. To where, like, they would have needed like 3 or 4 energies. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so they get the KO, and they even up the price exchange once again. And now the emergency jelly does activate, so now they have 80 damage on them, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, orange is 50, yellow is 10, red is 100, and so the game lasts another turn. But like I said, yeah, the Lost Box players, all they need to do is make sure that this turn they should attack with Cramorant, right, into the station. And then next turn the other player needs to go boss KO the Sableye in order to try and prevent the knockout and take the KO with Gardevoir as well. But there's only one energy in the discard pile, so they might not have enough energies to do that. Like to even power up the Gardevoir EX to attack. Alright, there's Boss, and there's Escape Rope, which is really good, and there's Clara as well. So I'm pretty sure that's game over, unless there's another judge happening. But the Lost Box player has 3 cards left in their deck. They must have like a 7-card hand, maybe 8. And maybe they can play down other stuff. There's an energy as well they can play down. So I don't see how they could whiff, right? Like, they need either Boss or the Escape Rope or the Clara in order to win. That seems like a very doable thing, especially with both Gunface having 1 energy each. I don't know, like... I'm sometimes very surprised at how slow players play in general. But yeah, there we see a retreat, 110 onto the station. And yeah, like I said, the other player's best play is to go retreat, Boss KO Sableye, and hope the other player doesn't have Boss. But as they play that supporter, which I don't know what it does, they draw 3 cards. And then he sighs once again, or maybe they drew 4. There's a card on the table for some reason. Maybe I don't think they have energy. I don't think they have energy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't have energy. So they can't even attack with Gardevoir EX this turn. And I mean, even if they did, right? Even if they did, they go retreat KO Sableye and Oricorio KO's Station. And not Oricorio. Sableye KO Station. Now that they've played a supporter, the other player has Clara, Boss, and Escape Rope. The Escape Rope no longer matters because there's a Mew in the active, but it's just not going to be enough. Oh, okay, so there's the... okay, they're powering up the Mew. And they're gonna do 30 damage, and that is the game. So, I don't know. I mean, the slowness of the deck, right? Like, they didn't get a turn to Gardevoir EX. They didn't get a turn to attack. And I'm pretty sure that's the big thing. Yeah, they were always 1 turn behind. And then this turn, their best play, like I said, was to attack with Gardevoir EX and hope that there was no thing. But we see a Sableye placing damage counters on Station V. And that will be the game. So... I don't know, pretty interesting. This other player, maybe the Emergency Jelly is a card that makes a big difference. I don't know how many Emergency Jellies they play. Maybe that's what makes a big difference in the Lost Box matchup or against Giratina or something like that. But in general, I feel like Lost Box should have a really, really big advantage against Gardevoir EX. Almost always, especially like if the Lost Box player doesn't start with a Drapion V, then they can always just power that up and take down a Gardevoir EX. So, I don't know. But this was the final match. Like I said, I'll leave the link down below if you're interested in looking at the other games. I know I will. And if there's another interesting one, we'll try and take a look at it. I'll try to find those lists, and if I do, I'll probably end up posting them over at my Twitter. So if you don't follow me there yet, you definitely should. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this analysis of the post-format, no, not post-format, post-rotation format E-block, which is coming up in a little over a month for us and should be very, very exciting. Especially EUIC will be very exciting to watch with the new format rotation, and this is important to take note of. A 3,000 player tournament, it takes a lot to get to the final, right? Even if it's a best of 1 tournament where there's more variance. So yeah, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.